Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Krishna Mukherjee from ET Edge, welcoming you all once again to another interesting session of ET Unwired, Unlock Power of AI for Intelligent Operations, powered by Microsoft and DXC Technology. We are going through one of the toughest times in human history with the outbreak of COVID-19. This pandemic is forcing us to restructure and migrate to new setups and processes. With COVID-19, many companies, large or small, are looking forward towards innovative ways of managing their operations. Especially in the case of manufacturing and logistics verticals, we have seen some amazing innovations for making their operations intelligent using AI. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing how an efficient and intelligent operation mechanism can help in increasing the productivity, also at the same time improve the overall efficiency. So today we are glad to have two industry experts with us, and it's a pleasure to introduce them. We have Ashok Shenoy, Senior Director, Manufacturing and Conglomerates, Microsoft. Ashok has more than 26 years of experience in IT industry in various sales leadership roles. Ashok also has 4 years of experience in running an independent venture in process manufacturing. He is a certified coach and invests time in mentoring and coaching people. Welcome, Ashok. Thank you for joining us. And also, we are joined by Chayan Majumdar, General Manager, AI Analytics and IoT, DXC Technology Asia. Chayan has 2 decades of management experience in engagement spread across corporate strategy, analytics, and consulting. He has a fair exposure to design and go-to-market options, and at DXC, he runs sales and advisory initiatives for their analytics and IoT business. He has been a regular presenter at different industry events around the globe, talking about the evolution of AI/ML and its incubation into newer ways of working. Welcome, Jen. Thanks for joining us. Before I hand it over to the first speaker, Ashok, I would request you all to be please present till the end of the webinar and respond to the poll question and answer the feedback form. Also, towards the end of the session, we will have a Q&A, so prepare your questions for that particular session. We have industry experts from Microsoft and DXC Technology to answer all your queries. With that, let me hand it over to Ashok. Over to you, Ashok.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. Well, for everybody, the last few months have been very interesting. We've all gone through different times, different challenges, and the manufacturing industry has sort of faced the brunt of what has happened in the recent pandemic. If we can move to the next slide, I can probably set some context here. We've been reading a lot of news. The overall economy has come under a lot of pressure. You're seeing that on the tabloids and on the newsprint and manufacturing, with its challenges of migrant labor and supply chain disruption, has probably been hit the hardest. But I'm not going to weigh here too much on the negative aspects, because a lot of positives are also coming out from what we are seeing in the industry. Firstly, people are looking at how do you manufacture and manage these things remotely. How are we looking at supply chains differently? We were doing 3-month planning and 1-month planning depending on the industry and the product. How do we do that differently? The government's focusing on the MSME sector. All the announcements that have come out in the last 3 months is very clear that there is a big focus for the MSME industry. How are we looking at vehicles? Are we going to be sharing vehicles, or are we going to look at more personalized ways of travel? And then, of course, the automotive industry moving from BS4 to 6 and a parallel focus on electric vehicles. Another positive that has actually come out is on the agri industry, and a big success in terms of what has happened with the farmer and what they have managed to do is both the fertilizer sales, the tractor market, etc. For those who are tracking that, you will see an upswing. And of course, as an economy, our dependence on the monsoon is very high, and the current positive outlook is also a big positive. So manufacturing companies, depends on whether they are process or discrete or any other kind, are also looking at different ways of managing this current situation and leveraging technologies to see how they can better utilize their current facilities. Right, out of the multiple technologies that can address the needs of these various companies, artificial intelligence is emerging as a technology that can probably address both short-term and the long-term needs. But it has a very complex value chain and a supply chain, right? And which basically means that this sector has the potential to save a lot of costs and also drive innovation by leveraging AI. Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. At Microsoft, we see AI as a capability that augments the human ingenuity. Its relevance is not restricted only to the factory, but to the entire value chain, right from design to customer service. And you can see that in this slide. I mean, if we look at the 4 pillars of optimization of operations, of better improving productivity, of finding new revenue streams, and of course, then focusing on the customer. But amongst all of that also would be the people, right? And AI is the capability that can improve the productivity of people, which in sort of turn leads to reduction in cost of operations, improving customer experience through better products and services, right? And let me sort of unpeel this slide with a few examples, right, which Microsoft has been involved with. A cement manufacturer looking to improve the productivity and say reduce costs or energy costs in their grinding operations. Microsoft built an ML model on the data that was already being captured by a data historian, right? One very positive aspect of AI is doesn't have to wait for digitization of assets, so some of them could be legacy, right? IoT, of course, does bring in a lot of data and value, but you start with AI with the data that you already have. This helps you build trends, and it helps you sort of find a new way of doing your same process a little better. You know, you can look at an automotive manufacturer was looking to improve the defect detection in his welding operations. A very simple setup, but a lot involved in terms of welding for automotives. Now, one of the ways to do it was to capture weld point, junctions, etc., which is not easy, which is difficult as a process, as well as getting all of that uploaded to then even analyze. Microsoft worked with this customer to look at alternative ways, right? Looking at input current parameters, temperature, sound of the weld. The data scientists could actually build an effective model that could predict the defects in the welding process, right? So there are multiple different ways that AI is being used, and one that really caught my attention was that Microsoft delivered the world's first AI whiskey. Now, it's very aptly named as intelligence, and the recipe for this whiskey is generated by an AI algorithm. So across all kinds of manufacturing facilities, and I just gave an example of cement, auto, and maybe beverages, but you know, it really covers the entire spectrum of how manufacturing industries actually operate. At Microsoft, our effort has been to bring to manufacturers industrial AI solutions that can run at scale on cloud, as well as at real time at the edge, which is much closer to your products and assets. Microsoft Bonsai AI solution is a case in point. Bonsai is the industrial AI platform that business users can use to create and train AI models and create autonomous systems even without deep knowledge of data science, right? And it's a very, very interesting product from Microsoft. At this point, I would request the team to play the Bonsai AI video. It's just a 2-minute video, and it will give you a sense of what Bonsai actually does. Thank you.
Autonomous systems bring intelligence to machines so they can sense and dynamically respond to a changing environment.
Just as a 100-year-old company, but we still think magic to every customer through innovation. We are number one in bag, but we want to be better. And we are using autonomous systems to get there.
Imagine designing a next generation wind turbine. They're huge. With the power of autonomous systems, you can build smarter wind turbines that produce cleaner energy more efficiently.
These drones are making aviation more efficient by inspecting airport runways faster, cheaper, and better.
80% of construction companies face critical labor shortages. We're working on a fleet of machines that are helping build solar farms.
These robots are helping people get everything set up. That is a very large collaborative effort.
Microsoft has the history of ethics in thinking about how technology impacts us on the human side.
We have to be able to trust that the AI behind the machine intelligence is safe and secure.
These robots can be used in just about any scenario where it's dangerous or infeasible to send humans in.
It's very important to have a rich simulation and modeling environment in order to model scenarios.
To make drones fly safely, we're working with Microsoft AirSim in the simulation environment and then comparing them against real world results.
It's going to create an FAA regulatory world for the 21st century. The opportunity is to make all this easy to use, quickly build a model so they can simulate on a massive scale without being computer scientists.
With these systems, we can solve some of today's biggest challenges.
It now feels like we're hitting the real world.
Thank you for playing the video. I'd now like to hand it over to Chayan for the next segment.
Thanks, Ashok. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon as well. So my name is Chayan. I'm going to walk you through a small talk around continuing on what Ashok just highlighted. I think those were some of the great industry perspectives about the changing times that are unfolding around us, right? So, we keep on hearing the different things that are going on in the world of manufacturing, connected operations, intelligent operations. A lot of people are doing a lot of stuff, right? And one of the clear things that I have witnessed is, most of these companies face formidable challenges in the adoption of these new technologies, right? While building and sustaining a lead, right, in the race towards the full implementation, they need to broaden and deepen their practical knowledge about digital technologies, what are the related use cases, and then eventually, develop and implement a tailored digital manufacturing strategy. So in a nutshell, and I would request everybody to, listen more and focus a little less on the slides. But in a nutshell, Industry 3.0 was purely about IT revolution, what we saw 10 to 15 years back with the rise of smart products flooding the marketplace, cloud B2C platforms, social media coming in a big way. And eventually, right now, for the last couple of years, and even today and for the future, right, we are truly into Industry 4.0. And what we are talking about and seeing the evolution around us is a connected ecosystem of products, assets, people, everybody trying to leverage analytics, AI for a faster decision making, right? So what exactly does the tomorrow hold for us? It's nothing but a seamless integration of a cyber physical customer experience, if I may put it that way, right? And these will be based on autonomous capabilities, increase in computing power, quantum evolution, and in a nutshell, I think there are these 9 technologies basically that I see in that are powering this transformation. The core remains big data analytics. There would be autonomous robots coming in. People will do simulation as a way of life. We are already looking at augmented reality, vertical system integrations, all of these, and a cybersecurity, right? Cloud migrations. All of this will probably lead to what we call as additive manufacturing, right? And enable the biggest buzzword that we see in the industry, right? Which is around, the industrial Internet of Things, right? We are talking about transforming the way industrial production happens, right from engineering to operations to customer services. Now, the core of this is we all talk about doing stuff intelligently, but the way I call it is you should do less of I and apply more of AI, right? Artificial intelligence is getting everywhere. And for me personally, this is good. I mean, starting from product engineering, when I have these conversations with our customers, with our partners, we keep on hearing about innovation all the way up to the mass customization. How does the application work in a UI UX mode? What we commonly now refer to as motivational experiences, right? Generative design is probably producing hundreds, if not thousands, of design possibilities. There are alternative scenarios for designers, engineers, for them to choose the outcome that best suits their needs. And a good example of this co-creation is the interactions that we have between human beings and technologies while they are planning their operations, planning sales, planning their finance, things like that. Everyday stuff that we see when we walk into our different offices. And then there is a third trend, right? And that is about being able to move into a predictive demand for creating an operations agility. Now, for example, how would you correlate your operational insights with a machine learning algorithm to discover meaningful patterns, provide real-time insights, and have a better operations planning? The technology, I believe, has molded and shaped that workforce over the years, right? Efficiencies have improved. There's a huge focus on workplace safety. And it has, I think, forever changed the way we approach and do our work. In fact, I believe every industrial revolution that we've heard of in the past, and the ones we are seeing now, and the ones that are going to be there in the future, were sparked by some kind of a breakthrough in technology in these lines. Now, let me actually share an example. One of the things that I keep doing at my workplace is talk about the art of possible, right? And in terms of art of possible, allow me to talk about the kind of shoes that I think our future generations would be walking in, right? With the improvements in technology, I think machine learning, like Ashok was referring to, it's becoming versatile. And artificial intelligence can eventually be programmed to perform activities that we never knew could exist. And it follows a predictable pattern. Let me use an example for the most common machine that we always see around us. In any kind of operations floor, in any kind of warehouse, we see a gantry crane, right? Or a EOT crane. And we all know that in every shop floor, these kind of cranes are partially automated, connected to the PLC systems, but still, more often than not, it needs a heavy manual intervention while getting operated, right? Now, this reduces operational productivity and efficiency in terms of cycle time and throughput. Now, some companies, I believe, have tried to create remote operations. They've achieved partial automation, right? But what they failed to achieve is the actual result that they had in mind, right, when starting off. And this is because the remote operator will never be able to have an exact sense of the environment calculations, right? So think about a possibility where you are actually creating a machine or a crane that can move about on its own. You're replacing its senses with the human senses with an autonomous function, right? And this is basically you are placing advanced AI and cognitive capabilities computer vision capabilities on top of the crane using technologies like lidars, cameras, sensors. And camera could be image, it could be video. These are effectively providing tools to the machine that is going to bring it to life. And thereafter, all you need is an information management ecosystem that can take instructions directly from the PLC environment and act accordingly, right? A system like this is basically built on these kind of edge technologies, right? And these solutions are absolutely safe, eco-friendly, cost-effective. Not just that, I mean, it overall, lowers the stop time of the machines. That increases the throughput. It increases your worker safety, right? We all know how important it is, how risky these environments could be. And there are other cost-effective measures also, right? You're replacing an operator cabin on top of these cranes. That saves a lot of electricity, lighting, air conditioning, all of that, right? So effectively, you're controlling the margin of errors that could be there by replacing human intelligence with artificial intelligence. And overall, this kind of a solution fits in very well when you're doing a smart yard management, right? So, and what exactly is the base DNA for a solution like this, right? It's at the end of the day, you have to enable your real-time analytics. Now, let me talk about how exactly does this come back into a framework. So we can't keep on talking about siloed processes, siloed solutions, things that go, okay, I have this specific business problem, and how do I solve that business problem? But it's not just about solving one business problem at a time, right? In the light of the example that I just talked about, it is very important to understand that what we are trying to do is we are creating a communication framework that allows a connected data flow, right? And provides an integrated view of the asset, right? And its data throughout its life cycle across what we used to treat as a siloed functional perspective, right? That is where I believe I want to use the concept of a digital thread, right? And this digital threads is something for those of you who come from the heavy duty, high tech industries or manufacturing industries, you would know that this digital thread concept is borrowed heavily from the military aircraft industry, majorly for its shared interest in enhancing the performance of future programs. But in today's context around us, in the world that we see, right, where we all work, the application of this kind of a digital thread concept comes from a series of benefits. It increases the quality of products, minimizes defects, increases the rate of new product introduction. It improves digital capturing efficiency, right? It helps you analyze your manufacturing data. And when you put all of these things together, what you end up is getting a smart worker. If it's a factory floor, it's a smart technician. If it's an operation floor, you get a smart operator. Finally, it enables a manufacturer to offer a very modernized service to their clients, as well as leverage the digital data, right, that is attached to a product, and for creation of a smarter environment for its workers, right? And more so, by doing all of this, one of the clear things is creating a traceability, right? It's very important that all assets, shipments are kind of tracked and traced in a near real-time fashion, which will then be fed into different kinds of processes and workflows. Now, let me elaborate that with a kind of a framework that we use with most of our manufacturing customers, right? What we call this is a connected manufacturing solution. And the top L1 of this process flow, this is a very simple process flow, right? It uses the Six Sigma methodology of having a SIPOC in place, right? Where you start from all your sourcing and enablement and go all the way to delivery, dispatch, returns, right? And in between, the core stays as material management, production planning, control systems, and all of that. So what are the different, and what I highlight here on the screen is, is a very basic thing that creates a smart factory or a smart manufacturing environment. This is where the physical production process and the operations are combined with digital technologies, smart computing, big data, analytics. These are creating more and more opportunistic systems for companies to focus on their supply chain management. And I'll take a pause here for a couple of seconds, let you read through. I know this is a very text-heavy slide, but and apologies for that. But there are different use cases that we call out in each of these processes. And I'm aware of certain companies that are doing a lot of this work, but in silos. But are you really establishing an end-to-end connectivity, right? And when I talk of connectivity as such, see, the manufacturing process is not new. Connectivity within that is not new. But in order to fully realize the digital supply network, however, right, manufacturers are likely needed to unlock different capabilities at one go. This is where, horizontal integration through these operational systems are very important, because that is what will power the organization eventually, right? And then there's the vertical integration through which the connected manufacturing systems are going to talk to each other. So in the end, we have an end-to-end holistic integration through the entire value chain, right? Talking about what we typically do for our clients, right? I mean, that the previous slide is basically talking about our framework. What we typically end up doing is we engage with our customers on their data-driven transformation journey, right? I keep talking to customers and they talk about, oh, my business model is not working well. I don't know, what am I doing wrong? I need to be closer to my customers. I need to be closer to our channel partners. I need to be closer to our vendors, right? Now, there are different channels, right? How do you arrive at what are the different, lifetime values of each of these channels, right? I have problems in my supply chain. I have problems tracking where my shipments are, right? How do I improve the efficiency and automation so that I can increase my product velocity? How can I have a better warehouse management system in place? Now, when we start tackling these problems, what we realize is all the enterprises have data, right? I mean, there's a very, very cliched saying that goes around these days that data is the new oil. So it is evident that every organization will focus on creating an infrastructure that manages data. But are you translating your data into insights? And are you using those insights to optimize your business processes? Are you using those insights to enable faster business processes, right? The moment you move the needle from being just a data-driven organization to being an insight-driven organization, you would have established what we call as a data-driven culture, right? Now, let me elaborate that with a kind of a example, right? This is something that we typically do, right? I mean, then nearly 70% of the organizations surveyed by BCG have said that they do not have full visibility into their supply chain and distribution networks. We have a solution that talks about track, trace, and establishes a trend, right? And this is a very simple, while it might look a little complicated and cluttered, but this is a very simple inventory tracking and inventory management tool, right? But what it does is it uses the latest technology that we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes. And it kind of enables you for the future, right? That we also spoke about in the beginning. You know, when a company says that they don't have full visibility, quote unquote, it basically means that they can't see where their people are, where their assets are, where are the shipments moving around, where is it getting stuck, where are your vehicles positioned. And I'm also aware that there are a lot of standalone cliched products in the market which claim to be doing this. But is it fitting into your larger storyline that you have in mind about bringing about a digital transformation, right? And even if these things could help you, I mean, they would solve a part of the problem. They wouldn't have the context to know whether your assets are optimizing productivity, whether it is enabling safety, whether it's enabling cybersecurity, right? And meanwhile, what happens is you might be thinking that, oh, I have invested in this specific tag and tool, and I have a dashboard that is giving me this information. So how is this artificially intelligent supply chain management different from what I already have? What you don't know is by the fact that you don't have a full visibility, your supply chain and distribution losses are skyrocketing in the back end due to rising labor costs, rising delays, regulatory requirements in transportation, right? And of course, the most favorite of all, the volatile fuel prices. So how do you solve this, right? The process begins, in my opinion, with finding out where exactly you are in your overall IoT and the transformational journey. Now, allow me to play a small clip, and this is not really a clip with a video kind of a thing. This is more of a demo of the tool that I'm talking about for the last couple of minutes, where I'm actually trying to automate the process which is driving our material flow. Right? This is a very simple example. It is not the end-to-end stuff. Right? Let me play that, and I'm going to talk through this. Right? This is basically a field monitoring solution, which kind of creates layers of visibility that are built upon each other, which helps provide a predictable rate of return. Right? There are rate of return on the incremental investments, right? And it also minimizes the risk of technology dependence and obsolescence, right? Okay. So this is how you actually tag your shipments, right? Yeah, and I'm using an example from a customer that we worked with in South Asia. So they wanted, and these are very sensitive goods. So they want to have a beeper sent to the cloud. The gateway would beep, and they want the data captured every 30 seconds, right? So and along with that, they also were looking at a scenario where
And we lost you there.
Chan, your voice is not audible.
If somebody from the team, Vishnu and or Ashok, can respond to that.
Yeah, Krishna, just give us a minute. I think he's coming back.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yeah. We lost you in between. Yeah.
Sorry about that. It happens all the time. I talk big about technology, and I'm the one ending up in a technology glitch.
I think this is a side effect of technology.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling people.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was saying, I mean, this was basically kind of a pilot solution that we did for a customer in South Asia, and they kind of needed a track and trace, a visibility towards the end-to-end shipment monitoring, right? We kind of there are different. It starts by creating the shipment, registering your shipment details, tagging the parameters, right, that are specific to the shipment that are set up on the tool pallets. Now what you see here on the screen right now, these are the tags, right? These are sensors that are mounted and attached to the crates, and they also monitor temperature, the shock, the tilt, and also the humidity, right? And these devices are from our partner Intel, and they can be easily just attached, like as you see, the worker is in the warehouse is just attaching it to the goods before it gets shipped out. And as a result of that, it is monitored through a very simple user interface. It's a web-based app. And this is very, very useful for cargoes that are sensitive, right? Like medical equipments that require a specific temperature to be maintained all through its journey during shipment. And a platform like this will provide the visibility and alerts if any kind of abnormalities are detected. As you can see on the left-hand panel, you have different kinds of parameters that you can keep on monitoring, right? This is what protects the quality and the integrity of goods. So do keep in mind that it's not just about moving your goods from one place to the other, but it's also about how well your goods have reached. Have they reached in the condition that you actually want them to be, right? And once all the information is set up, you can monitor the asset condition in a live way as it is on transit, right? And what you see here on the screen right now, this is basically a shipment summary. Once it is received in the physical warehouse, you can log in back into your dashboard, and you can just go there, select what you received, and you can just say that you've received, and the process is stopped. I believe we will have questions around this, and probably we'll take the questions towards the end. But this is just one part of what I have been talking about in terms of creating a track and trace mechanism of what I had, right? So, so basically, we all use smartphones, and different IoT devices are flooding the market all the time around us. It provides all sorts of operational data, customer data. Where does it all lead, right? So the solution that we just saw, this is nothing but an example of geomatics, right? The analytics and management of geospatial data. We provide enterprise decision support. We provide geospatial visualization, the track and trace, the data ingestion, right? And then you as a user or a warehouse operator or warehouse manager, you have active controls. You have resource workflow planning. And all of this is built on a very, very open and flexible architecture. This kind of a digital transformation journey, it includes many stages, right? You master your data consumption to create an autonomous asset tracking, right? And some of the common examples where you can use this is optimizing the in-store retail experiences, right? You can create a visibility for logistics companies also. Moving on, let me talk about a slightly different example, right? And from the world of larger manufacturing. We kind of, a couple of years back, we engaged with an aerospace manufacturer, right? And they came to us with a very simple business problem. We've been selling IT and infrastructure related services to them, and they said that, okay, why don't you guys tell us what does smarter manufacturing mean? What does Industry 4.0 mean? And then put it back in our context and tell us what to do. How do we shift the needle? So what we said, I mean, this is again my humble point of view, right? Smarter factories can leverage automation, but the true core lies in integration and business insights being enabled through a smarter collaboration, right? Between different data systems, different applications, etc. And all of this eventually leads to a series of value networks. Now, these value networks are they facilitate collaboration everywhere. So between functions, divisions, multiple enterprises. And when we started engaging with this customer, we did a maturity assessment, right? Where exactly are they on their journey? What exactly is their appetite, right? And we realized that the key business drivers for a large manufacturing hub, right, that is already leveraging modernized machineries, is basically they wanted to establish ecosystems of connected products and services. They are trying to transform their operations. And then, of course, extending the digital core to establish collaboration between external and internal partners. So we did workshops that led to a building of a roadmap. We did value stream mapping, and then we did a use case prioritization model. Now, this is part of building a cohesive ecosystem that is bridging the gap between IT and OT factions of a manufacturing company. Now, I'm going to quickly talk about a digital twin. Obviously, since we are doing this virtually, I can't say that let me have a show of hands on who knows what a digital twin is. But we've been talking about connected intelligence for the last 20 minutes, right? So finally, let me show you where all of this converges. A digital twin is nothing but a digital representation of an asset, right? It's best described in an example like all of us use Google Maps, right? So you can't find a specific road and its traffic. You look at Google Maps. This is a digital representation of an actual road and the traffic intensity that the road is experiencing in real time. So you could say that the digital twin of the road is available over Google Maps. Now here is an example where we built a digital twin for an airport, right? This is also one of the largest airports in Asia. And while it may not be directly related to manufacturing, I'm sure all of you would agree that the operations and logistics process of an airport is probably very complicated, right? And on top of that, worker safety is still of utmost importance. So how does a solution like this help? So the operator who is moving this cursor around, he's looking at his entire operations going on in different parts of the airport, right? And he has an opportunity to make decisions within that data model that is coming to him, right? So there are three types of digital twins, right? There's a supervisory that we see here in front of us, right? And I'm going to keep this simple. But at some points in time, you could also look at a diagnostic and a control twin, where these twins link sensor data from the physical world to the analytical and data mining algorithms. It gives you detailed, actionable insights. And you can actually control your asset and process performances. And then you have the predictive digital twin. That's really hard to make, but the decision makers can actually test and understand the impact of different scenarios. So if you're looking at a what if scenario, what best scenario, how do we do this kind of a scenario, you get the answers using dynamic models of real business and operational processes, right? So here, as we see on the screen right now, the operator has focused back from the self-check-in kiosk to the manual check-in counters, and the different metrics that are there for managing all of this is kind of being labeled to him on a real-time basis. And right now we are in the departure terminal, and let's go to the departure entrance and see where exactly are we there. I mean, what's the average queue time? Is there too much crowding? Let me look at one of my assets, right? I'm using my video feeds to see, okay, so there is no, at the security entrance, we have a few people queuing up, which is probably going to increase as and when people start moving towards the gate from the security check counters, right? The security check is currently quite operational, and the wait time is not too high, right? I'm going to move this in the interest of time a little bit. Also, from the perspective of managing assets, right? This actually gives you a view of the physical infrastructure. For example, you're looking at your pipes, wirings, radio signals, people movement, everything on a near real-time basis. And you can actually look at different events that would have unfolded there. So at the immigration counter, somebody has just done an immigration and is moving towards passport control, claiming the bags, and there is an incident. So there is a threat being detected there, and remotely you can send the trigger and an alert to all your staff in that particular area. Similarly, coming out of an elevator, there is an escalator there, and there is somebody who's just fallen down and injured his legs and back. Immediately you can see it using your video feed and submit an incident report to the nearest floor manager for assistance. And you have a real-time dashboard at the end of it, where you're monitoring all your notifications, all your security feeds, all your video feeds, your staff statistics, how many tasks are assigned, how many are in progress, how many are completed, everything you have at the tip of a mouse. Decisions can be made based on these simulation results. There's a faster reaction time. You can link your asset behavior with the services. And finally, asset managers find that their assets are providing more and more data towards the operations, and that now they are being asked to produce tactical and strategic reports based on this data and the behavior. I'm going to come to a conclusion now. I've talked about a few examples. I've talked about how we are doing this for the manufacturing and the larger consumer retail segment in different ways. And I'll circle back to what Ashok said in the beginning, that there are a lot of stuff that we do, and reducing the inventory handling cost times, time to market, machine downtime. All of these are things that we keep talking about, right? When we go for our reviews with the finance team, they keep on telling us that these are the ways that you have to reduce cost. How do we look at ways and means to do it, right? And how do, at the end of the day, the people driving sales and the people at the CXOs, they will keep on saying, let's increase our revenue, right? And both needs to go hand in hand. And at the same time, IT modernization cannot be ignored anymore, right? So creating a well-balanced approach amongst all of this is actually the core of a smart design strategy in the world of manufacturing. I'm going to spend a minute talking about why DXC and Microsoft came together to put this story out into the marketplace today, right? Whatever we've talked about in terms of data, in terms of workloads, migrating these critical workloads to the cloud is no longer optional. Like I said, you cannot ignore it. It's a very critical component of companies' digital transformation, right? And likewise, modernizing these analytics and BI systems is a requirement for anyone trying to reach the benefits of analytics. It is basically going to be the foundation of your next big innovation. So we partner with Microsoft, and we have a staged approach, right? Stage one is basically we kind of do our migrations, then we look at setting up the activities that are performed to design the solution, right? And this kind of creates a test strategy for collection of your data. And finally, we have set up an artificial intelligence system whereby process stakeholders are connected to business processes, right? Using a single digital thread that offers a single source of truth and a transparent window that enables faster decision-driven, decision making. Now, this is what I always refer to as an actual evolution of an analytics and an AI-led journey. This slide that you see, it's a very favorite slide of mine. I keep using this in different conversations because this kind of tells us that anybody willing to embark on a journey for AI and analytics has to keep 4 key principles when you bring about that change management. You have to impact your people, process, technology, and culture. You imbibe all 4 of those into your way of life, and you have evolved into a smart worker and an analytics professional. That's all I had in terms of talking about what DXC does and in the marketplace with manufacturing along with Microsoft. Here I would like to hand it back to Krishna and our rest of the presenters. I believe we could do some polling now.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Can we have the polls, please? So here we go. The first poll question is, Where are you in the cloud adoption journey to bring digital transformation use cases to life within your organization? Option A, yet to plan as we continue our journey on premise. Option B, already have some of the initiatives running end to end on cloud. Option C, following the hybrid approach for all ongoing and upcoming initiatives. So, ladies and gentlemen, please respond to this poll. We have 45 seconds to respond to this. Where are you in the cloud adoption journey to bring digital transformation use cases to life within your organization? So, Charan, any guesses? Like, which one would, according to you, would gain a lot of momentum here? Any guesses from Charan?
I believe the first one.
The first one. Let's see.
Yep.
Let's see the percentage yet to plan as we continue our journey on premise. Already have some. It's option B. Charan already
Wow.
have 43%. Wow, great. Can we have poll question 2, please? Today, data is the new oil and AI is a fundamental transformational lever for all businesses. Which areas are you directing most of your business initiatives to? Option A, connected factory leveraging IoT and AI. B, creating single source of truth with advanced analytics. C, digitizing supply chain leveraging analytics and AI. And D, enhancing customer experience with end-to-end journey digitization. So we have 45 seconds. Again, please respond to this. Data is the new oil and AI is a fundamental transformational lever for all businesses. Which areas you directing most of your business initiatives to? I think it's customer experience, Charan.
Well, that's a perspective, right? I mean, different companies are at different stages of their journeys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, I believe that like whenever I interact with industry folks, I believe customer experience is something they are looking for.
Absolutely. I mean, customer is always God, right? So exactly. See,
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. 40% customer experience. Can we have
Absolutely.
poll? Yeah, poll question 3.
This is
please?
interesting.
Yeah. Where are you in the connected planning journey within your organization? Yet to plan for end-to-end visibility, no immediate need. This is option A. Option B, process is planned but not in sync with other applications to monitor cash flow. C, distribution network is connected but information conduit is missing. Option D, logistics is digitized well enough to offer real-time inventory tracking and planning. Where are you in the connected planning journey within your organization? Here I am confused, Charan, to be very honest with you.
Again, it'll be interesting because in the previous poll, people said that customer experience
Yeah.
is of prime importance. So now it'll be interesting to see that if how would you would like to reach out? Wow, that's a mixed response. I
Yeah,
wasn't
it's a
expecting
mixed
that.
response. Yet to plan. It's a mixed response. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Charan and Ashok, for that lucid presentation. So with that, Charan, we are moving on to Q&A. And I
Sure.
wanted to understand from you, I have received some questions for you, if you can respond to them.
Sure.
What do you think companies are missing out when they don't get the end-to-end visibility on their inventory or material movement that you demonstrated earlier?
Wow. Okay. So I mean, this is an easy one. So let me re-emphasize what I just said. First and foremost, the thumb rule: you're losing productivity, right? People on the shop floor, if you don't have visibility, or in the warehouse, they might be spending unnecessary time searching for parts, tools, equipments, right? The time spent could be, in searching all of that, these basic stuff could go into much more productive work, such as improving machine and asset utilization. That's a key contributor for your OEE. Next, you will not know how much material to order, when to order, how much to store. That storage will lead to additional incremental costs if you don't plan it out properly, if you don't stagger it out properly, right? That ends up putting a lot of pressure on your working capital, right? When you have inventory sitting idle inside your balance sheet. So the those are the things that companies should start thinking about, talking about, and figuring out ways and means, and eventually build a business case for themselves on why it's essential to have an end-to-end visibility.
That's right. And there's another question. We have some basic initiatives already running around analytics, but there is a lot to cover in terms of real application of IoT in the everyday processes. How do you think an enterprise should be making this turnaround?
Okay. So I'll take a stab at this, and probably Ashok can also chip in. So
Yeah.
I think we can identify areas in the value chain where you see challenges in meeting the KPIs that you have set as an organization. That is, I think, a good place to start. For example, let's say you're producing steel coils, right? And you remember the example that I gave earlier, the art of possible. So you're producing steel coils and you are having issues meeting your cycle time or daily throughput volumes, right, in your downstream yard operations. In that case, you need to consider monitoring operations using IoT technologies. You have to introduce automation to reduce human errors, right? You have to figure out a way how can you control the margin of errors, and how can you have a system where you have a much faster reaction time while you're managing those operations, right? So, that's my perspective. Ashok, anything that you would like to add on to that?
Yeah, let me turn to Ashok. Let me understand. Yeah, Ashok, please.
No, so my point, is an extension of what Chan just said. The areas of criticality within a shop floor or a setup before the pandemic would have been now a little different from what it is. So the data that you're analyzing might require more tweaks, more real time based on what's the problem you're trying to solve, right? If it is, if you remember my slides with the 4 pillars, if you're trying to optimize operations, then it is a different set of data that you're looking at to analyze. If you want to look at customer loyalty, then it is completely on the other side of the spectrum, right? And you need to identify the critical areas, because otherwise you will end up with a lot of data and wouldn't know what to analyze it, and it typically takes time depending on what you're doing. And just to give you an example, if you are into a large hydrocarbon setup, right, typically getting real-time data would be very complicated, right, because it just goes through so many processes. So you'll have to break down these processes once you identify the area and then analyze it for what you want to solve. That would probably be my way of prioritizing data and then analytics. And then over a period of the next 6, 12, or 18 months, as you define your process, merge to get a proper trend across the 3.
Okay. Ashok, here's one question for you from Aditi. She wants to know what are some of the challenges that we see from end clients in adopting intelligent AI for their operations.
Well, it really depends on the kind of what are they trying to solve. Very often, and AI as a technology has been much abused in the past, where people believe that
Exactly.
sometimes want to solve problems which are really beyond being reasonable. So first, what is your expectation out of what you want to solve? Right. And second, very often I see, if the customer is able to articulate what they want as a resolution, very often customers want somebody who has already done it and does not want to be the first person in the block, right? And which is a fair ask in oftentimes. And I'll probably give you an example of a large conglomerate which ran financing-based AIs to resolve customer or joint customer issues or customers using multiple of their platforms, right? And their only ask was, don't make it afresh for me because I have limited time to resolve this issue. And second, we are very nervous because it's relatively new in our environment. So those two, probably the first one being very critical. Are you able to articulate what you want to resolve with AI? And two, are you open to doing it for specific to your problem, or are you looking for a more generic industry solution?
Okay, thanks, Ashok, for that. Here's another question. Deepak wants to know digital twins between AR and IoT is achieved using which platform? If you can throw some light around that, though we heard about digital twins.
Yeah, can I take that? Vishnu here?
Yeah, Vishnu, please.
Sure. See, there are different technologies that you blend in to deliver that kind of solution, right? So when we say digital twin, the digital twin starts with what we call as a data twin. First of all, you need to model the data of your physical system into a digital data format. Then the second part comes out of that digital data or a data twin. You need to picturize or simulate your either the product or the process or the equipment or the asset itself, right? So for that simulation, then a lot of other technologies come. There are a lot of simulation technologies which have been already been used. So those technologies can be used. Or the next level of simulation comes in something like a mixed reality, or what we call as, right? The platform for that is HoloLens. So with the HoloLens, what happens? You can not only overlay the data twin with the simulations, but actually you can combine that with the physical asset. So let me explain that through an example. Let's say a maintenance operator is handling a particular equipment. They will have even periodic maintenance, right? Not only predictive. A normal maintenance operation, they have to open that equipment. They have to look for different check boxes that they have to look through that equipment, and even if there are any spares which are required, if there are any additional operations have to be done, or even a simple thing like how to open that equipment or how to conduct a specific maintenance operation on that equipment, or how the equipment ran in past 3 weeks so that they get a better idea of how the equipment is functioning. So all this data, they will have to go back to another system. With a mixed reality now, while they are looking at that physical equipment, the data and the information and any simulations about how to conduct that maintenance operation get overlaid on top of that within HoloLens. So without actually distracting the maintenance worker, we can give him the physical equipment on which they have to work. At the same time, we can also give him the digital twin overlaid on top of that. That's the power of the mixed reality platform. So that's the most advanced stage of doing the digital twin, but you always should start with the data twin. That's where the real foundation of the digital twin lays.
Thanks, Vishnu. Just to let you know all, Vishnu leads industry solution sales in Microsoft India's enterprise business segment. Thanks, Vishnu, for that. So we have a couple of other queries, and anybody from the team can respond to that. How can industrial version 4 AI can help and support? How Industry 4.0, how AI can help and support industry version Industry 4.0.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's a broader question. Like if you can give in a nutshell, one-liner, two-liner to that, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, so the one-liner is AI is one of the enabler of the Industry 4.0. Right?
Yeah,
you have IoT, you have blockchain, you have other collaboration.
There are many components to it.
Yeah, there are many components which come together to enable the Industry 4.0, out of which AI is one, where earlier we had the automation systems, where a particular, let's say, robotic arm, it is pre-programmed at the PLC level, right, of what operations that robotic arm can do. Right, and then if you have to change the product set, you have to bring in another configuration for the same robotic arm to function a different set of activities. Whereas with the AI, now that robotic arm can be intelligent enough to identify what operations it has to run and accordingly reconfigure itself. That's just one example. But then, like I said, AI is one of the enablers for the whole industry 4.0.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's one of the enablers. And moving on, we need to close the session here, but there is one more question which, if anybody can respond to this, how is auto industry utilizing this technology, AI technology basically? So again, this is a broader level question. If anybody can give one-liner or two-liner response to that.
Across all, and Chayan, please
Yeah.
feel free to chip in.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So let me give you some examples, right? I mean, we've at DXE, and prior to that, I was working with the Hewlett Packard organization. So we've been working with some of the largest automotive companies around the globe. In India, we work with some of the largest names as well, right? So we kind of do analytics, data management, plain simple, plain vanilla BI reporting, dealer management dashboards for all kinds of automotive OEMs, right? But the buck doesn't end there. We've taken it a notch above. We've now started working with different companies around the globe, and BMW is a very moment of pride for us that we help BMW devise their entire data management platform for autonomous driving. We are talking to some of the other large Japanese manufacturer, Korean manufacturers in creating robotic cars. And if you realize the core of all these kind of solutions, like I explained previously, like Ashok mentioned previously, is still artificial intelligence, right? How do you take cognitive computing, computer vision, artificial intelligence, high processing data management platforms, marry all of that together and create something like an autonomous drive? So yeah, in the world of automotive, there are a lot of things we can do. We start with running your data systems. We manage high compute platforms. We do cloud migrations. And finally, we create systems that enable an autonomous drive. Vishnu, you want to add on?
Yeah, sure, Chayan. I think you covered pretty much in all the areas, but just to add on few things, even on the customer side, automotive companies are looking at how do they leverage this for better conversion of the customers, better engagement with the customers, what the customers are looking for, right? Some of the automotive companies are even looking at how do I use AI to track the emotions during the test ride, right? These are all exploratory right now, but the effectiveness as well as the relevance of AI is in their every process, starting from your customer engagement to even the quality stages as well. So the applicability of AI is automotive is very, very wide.
Thanks again for that. Here's one question with Satyendra wants to know how cybersecurity plays the roles in industries of friction. So I think he has touched upon the elephant in the room. So I don't know if you are comfortable, responding to that, Ashok, Vishnu, or Chayan, which technology it uses in like system information and even management.
Yeah, it is a very, very important question that I'm glad that someone raised this question. See, as we are moving towards this Industry 4.0 and connectivity, Industry 4.0 is one on the connectivity is on the industry side, right? And then there are the products which are getting connected. Today we have water purifiers, coffee vending machines, your own vehicles, four-wheelers. Now the two-wheelers are also coming. Everything is getting connected. So pretty much, I mean, it is out there. Earlier in the industrial systems, we would always say as an air-gapped network, which means if I have a network in my shop floor, that is totally air-gapped. That won't have any direct contact with my corporate network or even internet, right? My systems are all protected. Now everything is opening up. Everything is now getting connected to the internet. So cybersecurity is a big, big challenge. Second, to add to that, now we are putting devices where earlier there were no devices being used, like on shop floor, right? Except a PC which is connected to local shop floor systems. There was no PCs there. Now we are giving a nice tablet or something through which you can have the visibility of entire shop floor on it. So yes, things are changing. As we open up more our assets, factories, products, everything to the internet, the risk increases, and thereby the security at every level, security at the device level where you are putting a sensor or whatever and you are connecting that to a gateway, security at the data level. You don't want, let's say if you're an automotive OEM, you don't want a reputation to be lost because your customer data is leaked, right? So security at the data level and security at the cloud level. At all the three layers, security is very, very important.
Yeah,
And
that's
yes,
right.
companies like Microsoft and along with DXC's partnership, we are building those security systems. Whether it is putting the security edge or cloud, we are building those.
Yeah, thanks Vishnu for that. Quickly, I will turn to Chayan and Ashok for their final word. Chayan and Ashok, if you can make it very short and crispy, like what message you would like to give to our audience today while we wrap the session here.
Yeah, my only message would be that as you look to go through the difficult times that we are currently, prioritize what is important to you. Do not try to resolve all your problems at the same time. I know we discussed AI, there were questions on cybersecurity and 4.0, factory of the future, etc. Identify the one or two areas that make a big difference to your industry and then focus on getting that resolved. Articulate your problem and target that. That would probably be my singular message to companies managing this particular situation.
Thanks, Ashok. Chayan, can I have your final word quickly?
Thanks, Krishna. I'll just add on to what Ashok said, right? It's very important that, it's very easy to get confused with so many things going around us, people talking about being intelligent, artificially or otherwise. But my only humble suggestion, and this is what I keep saying to every customer, right? Think big, right? Have a vision, but start small. But starting small doesn't mean that you forget your scalability options, right? So think of a way and a mean where whatever process improvement or a business model change that you're bringing about should be scalable to meet the technology demand or the changing face of technology for at least the forthcoming 10 years. And whatever business change you're driving inside your ecosystem, remember, there are two driving factors.
We lost you, Chayan, there.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yeah. So whatever business change you're driving within your ecosystems, there are just two primary motives that should drive your decision making. One is foremost your customers, right? What are your customers looking for? What's the fastest way to get to them? And secondly, what's the most profitable way to get there, right? That's about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chayan, and thanks, Ashok, for that enlightening session. Of course, we have to think big, but our path should be clear that our vision should be clear that what exactly we should do and how exactly, which are the technologies we should leverage to reach to that destination. Thank you, Chayan and Ashok, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the session. For any feedback or query, please write to me at krishna.mukherjee@timesgroup.com. I will repeat, it's krishna.mukherjee@timesgroup.com. Stay tuned for more such episodes of ET Unwired. Thanks once again for joining the session of ET Unwired, powered by Microsoft and DXC Technology. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Krishna. Thanks, Ashok.